right out of the oven. Into our bowl, we're going to add 4 cups or 500 grams of bread flour or all-purpose flour. We're going to add 2 1/4 teaspoons or 7 grams of instant yeast, 1/2 cup of packed or 100 grams of brown sugar. You can use brown sugar or white sugar. 1 3/4 teaspoon of salt or 10 grams. We're going to stir that with a whisk. You just want to combine all of the ingredients. I've warmed my milk or buttermilk. You can use whichever you prefer. I've got it at 110 degrees. Anywhere between 100 and 110 is perfect. So we're going to add the milk, 1/4 cup or 60 grams of warm water. We're going to add 1 egg. Now we're going to take this to the mixer and combine it all. I'll mix just long enough for everything to combine. Now at this point, I'm ready to add my 6 tablespoons of butter. If you're weighing it, that's 85 grams. I'll be adding this about a tablespoon at a time. Now that the butter has mixed in, I'm going to increase the speed of my mixer and let it mix so that it kneads for about 8 to 10 minutes. You can also knead this by hand if you prefer. If after mixing 8 to 10 minutes, your dough is still not quite ready, let it continue to mix for another 3, 4, 5 minutes, whatever it takes to get a little bit more of a dough ball. We're getting close. Now our dough is ready. It's nice and elastic, that's what we want. I have sprayed the inside of a bowl. You can use oil and just oil it. You just want to put something in there so that your dough doesn't stick to the bowl. We're going to pour the dough into the bowl. Okay, so we've poured our dough into our bowl. Another test you can do if you're not sure if your dough is ready to pour into the bowl, while it's still in the mixer, tap your finger in there. If it makes a hole and it does not bounce back, knead it a little bit longer. If you can put your finger in that dough and it doesn't leave a hole, or it just barely leaves an indent and then it fills in quickly, your dough is ready. One other test you can do is take a little bit of the dough. It's a little bit sticky. You want it to be slightly sticky, slightly tacky. You just kind of roll that into a ball and see if it stays into a ball. And if it does, you're ready. If it were to drag out and droop, it's not ready. You'll need to knead it just a little bit more. So now we're going to cover the bowl. I actually have lids to fit this bowl, but I always use plastic wrap. We're going to cover the bowl. Depending on the size of your bowl, you may not want to leave it so tight, because if your dough rises to the surface, you don't want it to not have room to continue rising. So make sure your bowl is large enough. And I want to spray the inside of this wrap. That's just going to keep our dough from sticking if it does touch. It doesn't need much. And then I'm going to loosely cover that, leaving a little room here. If it touches the top, then it can continue to rise. So now you want to put this in a warm place. Our house is really cold today. It's cold outside, so I'm going to put it on my proof setting in my oven. If you don't have a proof setting, you can try turning the light on in the oven. That never works for me. It does for some people. You can also put it in the warmest room of your house, or if you have the sun coming through a window, put it in there where you get that warmth. But it needs warmth to rise. We'll let this rise for 1 to 2 hours, and then I'll be back with the results and show you what we do next. This is about 45 minutes in. Now look at this dough. See how much it has risen? That has doubled in size very easily, maybe a tad bit more than doubled. Perfect. So see, it did touch the wrap. That's why spraying that earlier like I did helps. See that? Nothing stuck. That's what we want. We're gonna turn this out onto our silicone mat. If you have a granite or similar type countertop, you can work directly on your counter. I'm just loosening that from the edges of the bowl. And again, it didn't stick because we sprayed it. Let me put some oil on there. And just let that come out on its own. Now we're going to divide our dough in half. And in half again. And then I'll divide it in half this way. I like to do 16 rolls instead of 12. If you want bigger rolls, just keep it at 12. And some of these that are a little bit larger, I'll just take little pieces from them and just kind of eyeball it. If you want them to be 100% the same, you can weigh out your dough. But I'm not doing that. All right, that's pretty close. Okay, now that I have all of this broken up into 16 pieces, I'm going to start making my balls. So what I'll do is I will take and just wrap these edges into themselves, forming a little bit of a ball. I have just a little bit of water here. That helps keep it from being sticky on my fingers. So I'm just forming a rough ball for the moment. Just starting to tighten it up just a little bit. All right, I'm going to work all of these into a ball and I'll be right back. Now I'm going to ever so lightly flour my surface. And we're going to start getting these made into dough balls. So I'm going to use my hand, just kind of cup it, just kind of roll into balls. And pack that under one more time and roll again. I'm going to let these dough balls rest for about 10 minutes before I proceed. Now we're ready to put our rolls into our greased pan. It's lightly greased. I just sprayed it, but you could use oil as well. These are going to grow quite a bit as they rise, so I'm going to put them 3 apart. Now I made 16, so it's not going to be 3 by 4 to make 12. So I'll be placing these just a little bit differently. So now we have our rolls in our pan. We're going to cover them with some plastic wrap, and then we're going to put them in the oven and let them do their second rise. That will take about an hour. It could take as little as 45 minutes. It could take an hour and a half, probably about an hour, 10-15 minutes. This is the same sheet of plastic that I used when the dough was rising in the bowl. I just resprayed it. I'm going to cover this loosely. I don't want it tight because I want there to be room as the dough balls rise. So I'm going to put this back in my oven on proof setting and let them rise. And then the next time they come out, we'll be ready to bake them. And here's our rolls after they finished proofing for the second time. Got a beautiful rise on them. I'm going to leave these covered for just a few minutes while my oven preheats. I'm going to preheat to 350 and then we're going to bake.
Now we're going to carefully remove the plastic wrap.
They went for them like crazy. Getting ready to go in the oven. These will bake 20 to 25 minutes. And here are rolls right out of the oven. I'm going to butter the tops. I'm just using a whole stick of butter and just taking it across there. I'm going to put plenty of butter on these things. Oh my gosh. They smell amazing. I wish you guys could smell them. And now I'm going to sprinkle just a little bit of sea salt on them. And our rolls are done. Let's give it a taste. That is delicious, you guys. I hope you enjoy the recipe. Bye for now. Really good.